It's time to step up your game.
Let's get ready to rumble!
You're listening to Game On.
Falcon Punch!
Your inside track to gaming and fitness.
Of course!
Mamma mia!
We've got interviews one-on-one with your gaming experts.
Hi, folks. This is Jim Cummings.
This is Courtney Taylor.
This is Duke Nukem.
And we'll help you keep fit along the way.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Get ready, because Game On starts now.
Game on! Game on! Game on!
Hey everyone, Jeff Johnson here. It's Facebook Friday here on GameNTrain, and we've got a great rendition of our feature for you this week. You see, we started this up last week as a chance to sort of connect with you, our viewers, our listeners, our readers. We want to know what you think about certain topics, and we're going to keep asking you each and every week because Facebook Friday is here to stay. But before we get into this week's question, let's take a look at the responses from last week's question, the very first Facebook Friday. We asked you what your thoughts are on the new Wii U, and with the announcement of the PlayStation 4 and the announcement of Microsoft's new Xbox system supposed to be coming up within the next couple of months, we'll see what happens. But with these announcements, will the Wii U thrive, or will the Wii U be left behind in the dust? And we got a great response from N4G, from Google+, from Facebook, from the GameNTrain website, and of course from YouTube itself. So let's go through and see what you had to say. And now here's a look at all the comments we received on our last question. What's your thoughts on the Wii U? Let's take a look at GameNTrain first. We received a couple of comments there. First, a comment from Brent Hasaka. Brent had to say, the 2D Mario games, I agree with you, but I find the 3D Mario games incredible. It's hard to believe that we only have had 5 3D Mario games in 16 years. And I think Nintendo will be fine if they continue to make great exclusives, and especially if they have great online multiplayer. Think of Smash and Mario Kart with good online. I'll never leave the house if they could pull that off. Really, I have to agree with Brent on something like this, because both Smash Brothers and Mario Kart are money franchises for the Nintendo, and for them to pull something like that off, a great online version of those games, you would have people playing all the time. So thanks for the input, Brent. Great to hear from you on this. Now, Dan Shemin, he sent in a message as well, and he says, so far I'm loving the Wii U. I've always have bought Nintendo products since the SNES, and I think this is the best console they've ever released. So there you go. There's a positive for the Wii U. Thank you, Dan, for sending in your thoughts as well. Eric Hoff, the boss man, he sends in his thoughts as well. He says, I am chiming in with only about 15 minutes of play on Mario while avoiding the long GameStop line. I will admit that I did enjoy playing the game for those 15 minutes, but I think that Jeff hit the nail on the head. The game is the same damn thing I played back in the day on the original Nintendo. It's pretty crazy how the same game can continuously be remade. And since I was playing in the store, I did not have the opportunity to play other titles. Zombie U is the game that I really wanted to give a go, being that I heard so many good things about it. I will not be purchasing a Wii U. The last Nintendo product I have owned was a Nintendo 64, so I guess you can say it has been a while. With the new PS3 and Xbox being released later this year, I feel that Nintendo will again be behind the times in terms of technology. I guess that they are lucky that people love playing the same Mario games over and over. Well written, Eric. Thank you for chiming in here, and honestly, that was my train of thought. With the Mario games seeming to be repetitive, you often have to wonder if we're going to see any innovation from this system. I realize that the system has its benefits. There's a lot of good things that it's offering and a lot of changes to how Nintendo does business, but we're going to have to wait and see how that one plays out. Thanks again, Eric. Peter Thomas, our social admin, he also got in there too, and he's on the other side of the fence. He says, Jeff, you missed Super Mario 3D Land. Also, Nintendo would disagree with you this year about Luigi. It's a big year for him this year, according to them. Also, Nintendo Land does come with the system. You just have to buy the more expensive version. Now, I did get a chance to sort of rip into Nintendo Land and also rip into Mario's brother Luigi there. And it's true, Luigi does have some games that are coming out this year, but I just don't know why they've relegated Luigi off to this coward role that they've had him play. And also, the one thing I did say about Nintendo Land was that it didn't come with the system. And you're right, it does come with the system if you buy the more expensive version. My train of thought, Nintendo Land should have come with every single version. If it's a tech demo, show us how it does its stuff. Let us all have a chance to try this. Peter, thank you very much for chiming in. Stealth sent a message as well. It's a quick one. I think the Wii U is fantastic and will become a great system like 3DS is. So, Stealth, thank you very much. You're in the Wii U camp. Awesome having you on the show. And that's our comments from GameNTrain. Let's jump over to another platform. We'll go over to Facebook. We got a few comments there. First off, Matt LeBlanc, not that Matt LeBlanc, but Matt LeBlanc gave his comments on it, and he had a lot to think about here. He said, it has its specific fan base, so it'll work. Just like the Wii survived in a PS3 and 360 era, it's trying to compete by trying to obtain rights to game properties that are going into next gen, like Watch Dogs. As long as you can't play as Mario or Zelda on another console, they'll have their customers. And he came back to it a couple of days later, and he said, been a couple of days, but I've sort of been pondering this, and I wouldn't be shocked that in the future, Nintendo pulls a Sega and gets out of the console business and publishes games with their trademark characters. Can you imagine seeing something like that? Seeing the Nintendo characters, the Nintendo franchise characters like the Marios, the Zeldas, the Star Foxes, characters from these icon trademarked franchises showing up on like a PS4 or showing up on an Xbox Durango or Xbox 720 or whatever you want to call it. Just seeing Mario on those. I don't know if I could get used to that. But he is right. As long as there are Mario or Zelda games, they'll have customers. As it's been proven with the Wii era, it was a profitable system. They did well. They did well with that family market. And it's only going to take time to see how the Wii U is going to do here. Now, Shayla Brissett, she also had a chance to comment here, and she said, I haven't had the chance to try the Wii U yet, but I want to. All I can say is that I saw the commercials for it, and I am curious to see for myself how it would be to go from playing the game on the TV to having to change it to the tablet. And the one thing I'll agree with here, trying to play these different games on the different levels, like in the case of Nintendo Land, you got a chance to actually play on the tablet while watching it on the TV as well. So you saw it where you could throw like throwing stars in the Ninja game, or you could draw a map for Yoshi on the actual tablet while you watched all the different obstacles on the main screen. That was a really neat innovation that happened there. But also playing the games on the actual tablet while not playing it on the TV, again, I stressed last time how I felt about that. If you want to know what I thought there, go back to listen to Facebook Friday, What's Your Thoughts on the Wii U, and you'll have a chance to see everything there. So, Shayla, Matt, thank you very much for giving your thoughts there. Let's jump over to N4G. N4G, we saw a pretty good response. I'm going to go first off to Elite Game Night. Now, Elite Game Night had a whole bunch of thoughts based on the video, but at the 3:30 mark, I was talking about the Super Mario Bros. U game and how I didn't see much innovation and that it was the same game. And what Elite Game Night said was, to a strong degree, yes it is, but it also introduces many new features, such as varying art style. One level is devoted to the works of Van Gogh, and also brings in a fairly well-received bonus mode, which in my opinion is quite fun, and honestly I played that bonus mode, it was pretty awesome. Elite Game Night goes on to say, yes, a new Mario game is being made by the studio that created Mario Galaxy and Super Mario 3D Land. It will probably be covered at the upcoming E3. Not everyone has a personal television, and since the console aims mainly at families, this little stupid thing to you is amazing to someone else. The reason for those accusations is that judging a console on quickly released ports is something you should never do. But if you were to judge it on the well-worked ports, like Need for Speed, you see the system is actually quite powerful. Elite Game Night also goes on to say, don't rely on third-party Wii U specs to compare it with the other next-gen systems. Although the PS4 may very well be more powerful, the third-party specs of the Wii U have many parts that we have no idea what they are used for, resulting in flawed analysis. Now, I'll go on to say, at this point, it is pretty preliminary to judge the PS4 and compare it to the Wii U. I'll agree there. But at the same time, you have to realize the first games that are coming out for this system are the ones that people are going to get their initial impressions of the system from. And unless they can keep building on the momentum that the Wii U has from its launch, we're going to see it get relegated into the lower levels. So the one thing you got to watch for here, if the team at Nintendo knows what it's doing, we need to see the big games keep on coming. And as Matt was talking about earlier, getting Watch Dogs for this system would be a huge move for the team at Nintendo. I realize it'd be a third-party game, but it'd be an awesome third-party game for them to have. Elite Game Night, thank you very much for your thoughts here. JQM78 says, we desperately need some new games. First party would be nice. And if Elite Game Night is correct, if we see a new Mario game coming, that's going to address that right there. Thank you, JQM. Pedro Yamato says, well, I'm enjoying mine. Simple enough, gets the point across. Thank you, Pedro. Stuntman Mike says, I love it. It just needs more games. Very true. Trip C50 chimes in with a one-word answer, and I think this one pretty much says it all. Underdog. Wii U as the underdog. Are we going to see that? Possibly. You never know. It's very early in the console wars. We don't even have all the players in there yet. Big Chad joins in. Big Chad got in a major point and says, I agree with some of the points you made. Unfortunately, there isn't any games to showcase the system effectively. And the games are not here yet. It's easy to show shiny new graphics for the PS4. It's a whole other thing to show new gameplay experiences for the Wii U, and they chose the latter route. It was easy for the Wii U, not so much. I think this is going to be much harder for Nintendo to do than they anticipated. I think they will have some great innovative games, but they will have to be played to understand, and it's going to be hard to market that. The PS4 is going to be a beast. But right now, Nintendo themselves is their own worst enemy. If they implement this innovation, whatever that might be, in the IPs like Mario, Link, Samus, it might be able to convey that and save the day for them. Who knows right now? Have a good day. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Big Chad, for jumping in on this discussion, and you make a lot of great points there. Shiny new graphics are one thing, but as my friend Kyle Bourne and I have said it best, gameplay is what makes a game. If it doesn't have gameplay, if it doesn't have new experiences for the players, that can make things challenging to understand, and that could be something where the Wii U does well. We'll see what ends up happening there. So that's the thoughts from the N4G community. Let's move on over to YouTube. We posted it here. We got a couple of comments there as well. So let's see what we can come up with here. First off, Zarbon700 jumps in and says, Nintendo is the Fisher-Price of the console industry. Nintendo's Wii U will end up being a toy that parents will buy for their children. This is the reason why the Wii U will not die like the Dreamcast. The kiddie market will help it survive, even though it will greatly struggle against the Xbox 720 and PS4. Nintendo's strategy should be to push out ASAP a great deal of high-quality kiddie games and market them to parents and kids. That's all they need to do to be very profitable with the Wii U. And you know what? To a degree, Zarbon is right there. Zarbon is saying about Nintendo being the Fisher-Price of the console industry, and look at the Wii. There were so many kid-friendly, family-friendly games that came out for that system. I'll admit it. When I bought the Wii U, I was about 23, 24, playing with 20 and 30-year-olds. We were playing the game just for the kicks of it. Playing like the bowling games, the party games. It's a lot of fun when you're having a party, or if you're having a couple of adult beverages here and there. But it's a lot of fun for the kid market as well, and that's where Nintendo saw a lot of success with the Wii. It wouldn't make any sense for them not to continue to cater for that market, but they don't want to alienate that adult market either, and hopefully we'll see that as the battle between the Wii U, the PS4, and the 720 continues. Dirk Schneider got in a couple of comments as well. Dirk says, the trouble is that people think that the Wii U is a next-generation system, which it's not. It is simply the best console in the current generation. When the new machines from Sony and Microsoft arrive, I will buy one of those, and I will still be playing the Wii U for the great gamepad, the Miiverse, and the numerous exclusives. Here's the thing, I don't really agree with Dirk about this. You see, originally, the talk was that the Wii U was going to be sort of its own pocket generation, that it was going to be like a generation 6.5, or like where the PS3, the Xbox 320, and the Wii were its own generation. Wii U would stand out as its own generation before we saw the next one come in. But the thing about it is, I don't see it that way. Maybe if it was still a while yet until we saw a PS4 or until we saw the Xbox 720, but with the date changing for the PS4, with the PS4 expected now to come out winter 2013, it doesn't make any sense to consider the Wii U as its own generation anymore, or even as a part of the current generation, because the fact is, it's the next step up over the Wii. You have to pay like $300 to buy the system, or $350, or however much you're going to shell out in whatever market you're in. You have to pay that much to get it. You have to pay full system price, and it's not like an add-on to the Wii. Like, if it was an add-on to the Wii, it would cost like $90, and that would be it. Sort of like how the Kinect was an add-on to the Xbox 360. That was a $99 or $110 add-on, depending on where you're at, and it just changed different elements of games in certain games for the system, but you didn't need it to keep the system going. The Wii U is its own system. It brings in all these new innovations, it ups the graphics up tremendously from the Wii days, and it brings in this whole new way of playing the games. So that's why I feel it is part of this next generation. But in any case, Dirk, thank you very much for giving your comments. Thank you very much, and be sure to do so again when we release our next video. Now, let's turn things over to Google+. We've got a couple of communities there that have joined in on the discussion. So let's look at, we got two responses there. First off, Mark Zamora gave his thoughts on this question. What's your thoughts on the Wii U? Do you think it'll be left in the dust? And Mark Zamora said, I don't see how. Wii U is doing fine. It just needs games. And that's a thought that we have seen come up again and again throughout this discussion. The need for games. Will the Wii U get plenty of games? With it opening up to more third-party developers? Possibly. They just need to ensure that they can keep the third-party developers. And if they're all suddenly developing for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 720, which are supposed to be like leaps and bounds beyond, we could see problems there. Who knows what'll happen? And Katie Bailey, a simple thought here, too soon to tell. And that's a great point to end it, because we don't know what's going to happen in this generation. We've got the Wii U out, we're going to see the PS4 coming out down the line, and the announcement for the new Xbox system is supposed to be coming within the next couple of months. So it's going to be an interesting time for gamers. So thank you, everybody, for giving your thoughts on our last week's Facebook Friday question of the week. And there you have it. There's the response to our first Facebook Friday question of the week. What's your thoughts on the Wii U? Great response. Thank you to everybody involved. But let's move on to our next question. And this is going to be an interesting one. You see, I have seen a lot of different information going out about the PlayStation 4, basically talking about all the different system features, all the different aspects of it, and I realize it's still way too early to tell with a system like this, but there was one thing that came out that really caught me, because it came from a Sony executive saying that the PlayStation 4 will not be backwards compatible. And so, my question for you this week, the big question, should all next-generation systems be backwards compatible? So, really, with the Wii U, we see this. We can play our old Wii games. You could transfer over all of your data from the Wii right to your Wii U, and you could continue on like nothing happened. Granted, it takes a little bit of time to upload all of that information over to the new system, but you can still use it all, and it's all still there. With the PlayStation 4 supposedly not going to be next generation savvy, and by that I mean not backwards compatible, it makes you wonder if it's absolutely necessary to have backwards compatibility in all systems. I mean, Think back to the old days. The Wii was backwards compatible with the GameCube. The PlayStation 2 pretty much got the ball rolling by making it backwards compatible with the original PS1. And even in the handheld systems, you would see it. Game Boy games could be played on the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance games could be played on the Nintendo DS. Nintendo DS games could be played on the 3DS. It was a long chain that worked there, and really, if they didn't keep that, good luck catching every single Pokemon in all the Pokemon games. It takes Generation 3, 4, and 5 to pull something like that off, and you would never be able to do that without backwards compatibility. Xbox, it did the same thing. Xbox was compatible with Xbox 360, so you could play games like Halo on the new system. So the backwards compatibility thing, it runs rampant in video gaming. It's been here for a while, but is that necessarily needed? Is that something that gamers want in every single one of their systems? Because when you think about it, when a system first comes out, yes, it's a good thing to have backwards compatibility. You can still play all of your old games, and at this point you probably have maybe 1, 2, 3 games for this new system. So obviously you don't have too much selection for this system that you can work with. But at the same time, as you get years into the system's life, it's not really that big of a deal. By that point, the old system has stopped getting games developed for it. So when the PS3 hit its stride, development for games of the PS2 had practically stopped. Or in the case of the Wii going to the Wii U, I'm sure we're going to reach a point sooner or later where they stop developing games for the Wii outright and focus on just Wii U games. I'm sure that's going to be a while down the road, but we're going to see that happen. So if you're somebody like me who waits and doesn't buy the system right out of the gate, like I don't have a Wii U right now. I've played it at other people's houses, got a chance to try it, and got my impressions on it that way, but I don't have the Wii U yet. Maybe down the road when I see that inevitable price drop, then I'll buy a Wii U. The same thing will happen when the PlayStation 4 comes out. Like, I'll probably buy that a year or two into the system's life, but not right off the bat, because let's face it, I'm not going to shell out that high of a price for a new system. Not when I've got a backlog of games that I can play on the current system, and that's my way of dealing with it. I bought the PS3 with 5 games and 2 controllers for $150. I bought the Wii U with 6 games and 2 controllers for $250. Honestly, that's the way I would rather do it. I would rather buy it at a cheaper price than actually paying this gigantic price right out of the gate when there isn't too much that I can actually do with it. And also, it helps you avoid those buggy moments. Remember the red ring of death? Yeah. Nobody wants to experience that again. And that's the risk you run into when you're buying a new system. So, backwards compatibility. The lack of backwards compatibility in the PlayStation 4. Is this a bad thing? And should all next generation systems be backwards compatible? I want your thoughts. You were great at giving your thoughts for the Wii U. I want your thoughts now. What do you think? Should all next generation systems be backwards compatible? Leave your thoughts on Google+, on Facebook, on this article here on GameNTrain, on N4G once we get the article posted there, and of course, right below us in the comments section of YouTube. Leave your comments wherever you see fit, and of course, it's called Facebook Friday. Leave your comments on Facebook as well. We want to hear from you. This is your feature. This is you getting involved in GameNTrain and leaving your mark. This is Facebook Friday. What's your thoughts? Should next generation systems be backwards compatible?